Let me tell you something most men never get to hear. Good women aren't rare. What's rare are men who actually know how to attract them. If you find yourself repeatedly ending up with the wrong women, or worse, no women at all, there are exactly 5 reasons behind it. 5 invisible barriers that decide whether a woman sees you as a potential partner or a risk she needs to avoid. The kicker? You're creating these barriers without even realizing it. In this video, Hidden Waters is breaking down the 5 things that repel quality women instantly. And the best part is, fixing them doesn't mean changing who you are. It means upgrading the way you show up. Think back to moments you've felt invisible. The polite smile that fades too quickly, the dates that start promising but fizzle without explanation, the subtle way a woman disengages before you've even had the chance to reveal who you really are. That pattern isn't coincidence. It's emotional feedback you've never been taught to read. Once you start recognizing it, everything shifts. If you've ever felt this, hit like and subscribe, because what you're about to hear can change how women perceive you forever. The first reason men struggle is their image. And I don't mean your selfie or how many likes you get. Your image is the story her intuition reads about you before you even speak a word. Women are wired, biologically and socially, to scan for risk faster than men do. While you're thinking about whether you like her, she's already piecing together a psychological profile of you based on the tiniest signals you leave behind. Start with your social media presence. In today's world, it's the first real impression a woman gets. She isn't just scrolling for entertainment, she's watching your patterns. A man who posts chaos, petty arguments, low-quality jokes, or suggestive content sends the message that his life is scattered. A man who follows endless attractive women, he'll never meet signals a lack of focus or discipline. And a feed filled with impulsive, unfiltered posts shows she can expect the same lack of filtering in real life, so she instinctively prepares for potential instability. Women don't see these as minor red flags. They're clues. Clues about your emotional control, your maturity, how you manage temptation, attention, and responsibility. This is the mind at work, using pattern recognition honed over thousands of years. That same instinct influences how she judges what you curate online, what you tolerate, and what you amplify. Then there's the in-person version of you. Your posture, energy, grooming, and the way you enter a room all feed her intuition. She notices if you seem grounded or scattered, intentional or careless. She picks up on subtle signs, whether you value your presentation or have stopped caring without realizing it. Perfection isn't the expectation. Consistency is. Inconsistency shouts through mismatched actions, neglected details, and unpolished online presence. The truth few men hear: she doesn't need an hour-long conversation to decide if you belong in her life. A quiet, almost subconscious decision happens the moment she senses your presence. A messy or chaotic image signals risk, not imperfection. Refining your image isn't vanity, it's alignment. By showing up intentionally, you signal that you take yourself seriously and, in turn, invite someone else to invest in you. The second reason is your attitude. Long before a woman decides if she likes you, she decides if she feels safe around you. And safety isn't just physical, it's emotional, psychological, and energetic. Women sense it immediately. Your attitude either communicates stability or instability, and any hint of instability pushes them away faster than you realize. On one extreme, there's the man who acts as if every woman should want him. Loud confidence, exaggerated charm, the "I'm the prize here" energy. A quality woman doesn't reject confidence. She rejects the insecurity lurking beneath it. Overconfidence isn't attraction, it's camouflage. Women are masters at seeing past bravado to the parts you're trying to hide. On the other extreme is the man who is overly cautious, hesitant, or deferential, constantly polite to the point of passivity, afraid to claim space, fearful of upsetting her or showing a preference. That hesitation communicates lack of self-assurance just as loudly as fake confidence. Both extremes push women away because they disrupt her sense of emotional safety. She isn't thinking about strategy. She's feeling whether she can trust your stability, whether she can rely on your consistency, whether being around you will feel secure or draining. A grounded attitude is magnetic. It tells her you can handle life's challenges, maintain composure under pressure, and be someone she can count on without constantly questioning your behavior. These two reasons alone, the image you project and the attitude you carry, explain why so many men feel overlooked by high-quality women. The rest of the barriers tie back to the same principle. Women are wired to notice subtle signals that indicate whether a man is worth the investment of time, energy, and emotion. They read signals you might never even consider meaningful, and they act on them without hesitation. You can't control every instinctive reaction, but you can control how you show up. Every detail you refine, every bit of intentionality you bring into your presence strengthens your appeal without changing who you are at your core. By understanding these patterns, recognizing where you unconsciously repel, and making small but intentional upgrades, you shift from being overlooked to being noticed. Good women aren't looking for perfection. They're looking for alignment, stability, and purpose. And once you start showing up in a way that communicates those qualities, the doors that always seemed closed start opening. So remember, it's not that good women are impossible to find. It's that attracting them requires awareness, intention, and alignment. Start with your image, refine your attitude, and watch as women who once passed you by begin to notice, engage, and respond to the real you. But there's another layer few men recognize. It's not just how you look or how you carry yourself, it's the energy you bring, the signals you broadcast before you even say a word. The man who apologizes for existing, who doubts every sentence before it leaves his mouth, who carries the quiet tension of someone hoping not to be rejected. He isn't overlooked because he's kind. He's overlooked because he radiates fragility. That fragility forces a woman into a role she never signed up for: caretaker, emotional stabilizer, the person who ends up holding the weight he refuses to carry himself. Most men don't understand that the extremes, arrogance on one end, timidity on the other, stem from the same root: self-doubt. One man masks it with loudness and exaggerated confidence. The other hides it behind hesitation and over-politeness. Different methods, same energy: uneven, unsteady, noticeable. Women detect it instantly. They have what I call an internal threat detection radar. It's not conscious, it's instinctive. They feel when you're compensating for something, when you're avoiding the truth, when your attitude is more performance than reality. When that radar signals instability, she steps back, not to punish you, but because she knows emotional turbulence becomes her burden. Imagine this: a man enters a room without puffing his chest or shrinking into the background. He moves with awareness, grounded in his presence. He isn't desperate for attention, nor is he afraid of it. A woman doesn't think, "Oh, he's confident." She feels steadiness, and steadiness is rare. Steady is attractive. Steady is safe. A quality woman wants someone who can regulate himself, someone who doesn't collapse emotionally or inflate himself to appear stronger than he is. A man who leads his own energy without dominating or shrinking naturally invites her in. Here's the truth most men overlook: if you can't lead yourself, you can't lead the energy in a relationship. She shouldn't have to manage your pride or stabilize your insecurity. She shouldn't have to protect her peace from your emotional swings. If you want to attract a woman who carries herself with confidence and self-respect, you must meet her on the same level of emotional discipline. That starts with honesty, acknowledging where you lean, admitting that your attitude isn't your core self, and realizing it's something you can unlearn. The third reason men struggle is their ecosystem, the environments in which they search. Where you look determines what you find, and far too many men believe they're unlucky in love when the reality is far simpler. They're hunting in the wrong places. If you want a woman who is grounded, emotionally mature, intentional, and seeking something real, you can't expect to consistently meet her in spaces built for distraction, noise, and impulse. Bars and clubs aren't inherently bad. They just foster short-term chemistry, not long-term clarity. The lighting is dim, the music loud, and everyone is performing a slightly altered version of themselves. A woman in that setting isn't showing her relational self. She's showing her social armor, her playful or guarded side, or experimenting with the persona she presents to the world. Men misread this entirely, believing her presence signals availability for something meaningful. The truth is, women go to these environments for experience, not opportunity. Men go looking for opportunity. Women go looking for context. The two rarely align for long-term potential. The women who truly matter, the ones seeking partnership, growth, stability, show up in places that reflect their values, not their social persona. They appear in spaces that allow conversation to breathe, where engagement, thought, and curiosity naturally emerge. Professional events, workshops, fitness classes, community gatherings, bookstores, interest-based groups. Here, pace is slower, filters are higher, and authenticity naturally surfaces. Men often overlook this critical factor. Women choose environments that allow them to observe safely. Men choose convenience. Context shapes attraction, not mere accessibility. When you limit your search to nightlife and high-stimulation venues, you're fishing in a puddle and expecting ocean results. You meet women shaped by their environment rather than by their values. You judge compatibility based on fleeting chemistry instead of character. Meanwhile, your own behavior in these spaces, louder, more reactive, more impulsive, dilutes the impression you want to make. Even if a woman notices you initially, the environment masks the real version of you. To attract the right kind of woman, you must operate in the right ecosystem. Not because it guarantees a partner, but because it reveals the authentic versions of both you and her. Real compatibility begins with authenticity. Number 4 is often the hardest to admit: fear of commitment. Most men don't struggle to meet women. They struggle to let a woman get close. They subconsciously sabotage the intimacy they crave. They talk about wanting a relationship, but resist the vulnerability it demands. Fear disguises itself as overconfidence, distraction, or reluctance to settle. It keeps you spinning in circles, chasing connection without ever fully arriving. The women who can offer stability, partnership, and growth sense it immediately. They know when a man is willing to engage or when he's keeping one foot out the door. And just like the other signals we've discussed, this is non-negotiable. Commitment isn't about losing freedom. It's about demonstrating the ability to align your life with someone else's without losing yourself. It's about showing that your energy, presence, and intentions are trustworthy, consistent, and sustainable. A good woman doesn't need grand gestures. She needs reliability, honesty, and someone who can carry himself with emotional integrity. Fear of commitment undermines all the other work you've done on image, attitude, and environment. Without facing it, you'll keep drawing women who ultimately don't stay because your energy tells them, subtly but unmistakably, that you're not ready. And even when you tell yourself you want something real, your actions often tell a completely different story. You pull back when things start getting serious, sabotage connection when emotions deepen, or linger in limbo because the weight of choosing feels heavier than the weight of losing. Commitment isn't just a relationship milestone, it's an identity shift. And for many men, identity is sacred territory, defended with every fiber of their being. For most men, the fear begins with a simple thought: if I commit, I'll lose my freedom. But the truth is, it's not freedom itself they fear losing. It's their sense of self, the independence they've built, the control they cling to, the emotional distance that has kept them safe for years. A relationship threatens all of that, not because a woman takes it away, but because intimacy requires lowering walls that have protected them for too long. And then there's the fear of failure lurking just beneath the surface. Men rarely speak of it, but it shapes so much of what they do. If you grew up witnessing relationships collapse, parents, relatives, even your own past, the brain internalizes a simple rule: closeness equals risk. Closeness equals loss. So when something begins to feel real, the instinct isn't to lean in, it's to brace for impact. This doesn't mean you're incapable of love. It means you were trained to expect heartbreak. Layer onto that another reality most men never admit: heartbreak hits harder for them. Women grow up in emotional environments, friendships, conversations, societal expectations that normalize vulnerability. They cry, argue, process feelings, and experience emotional exposure from a young age. Men, by contrast, are told, be strong, don't show weakness, shake it off. So when men are hurt, the pain has nowhere to go. It lingers, it sinks, it buries itself deep. That's why women often recover faster, not because they care less, but because they've developed emotional tools men never learned. This makes men instinctively wary, pushing away the very women who could treat them well. Here's what most men don't realize. Women feel this fear in you. They sense when you hesitate, not because of them, but because of the ghosts you carry. They notice when the door is only half open, when you crave closeness yet refuse vulnerability. And a good woman doesn't punish you for that fear. She won't, but she also won't carry the relationship alone. Commitment isn't the enemy. Your fear of intimacy is. Vulnerability is letting someone see the parts of you you've spent years protecting, risking the loss of control you rely on. If you never allow anyone to meet the real you, you'll continue meeting women who only fit the version of you that feels safe, not the version that feels fulfilled. Stop seeing commitment as a trap. See it as a measure of readiness. Not readiness for her, but readiness for yourself. A man who confronts his fears becomes a man a good woman can finally meet without barriers. Number 5, and often overlooked, is your inner circle. A woman doesn't just evaluate you. She evaluates the world you come from, the people you surround yourself with, the energy you tolerate, the habits you normalize. Every detail becomes part of her assessment. Women don't just judge the man. They judge the ecosystem that shaped him, because environment predicts behavior. Your friends, your peers, your daily influences, they all send signals about who you are and who you're becoming. Here's what most men miss. Your circle is a preview of your future. If the men around you disrespect women, avoid responsibility, chase chaos, or treat life like a game, a high-quality woman assumes that one day you will mirror them, not because you act that way now, but because long-term exposure subtly shapes your behavior. Association communicates risk. A friend group immersed in gossip, impulsivity, or irresponsibility signals instability. If commitment is treated like a burden within your circle, she assumes it will eventually be a burden for you too. If your inner circle thrives on recklessness, she won't feel safe investing in a man who walks alongside people with nothing to lose. Then there's the mirroring effect, often unnoticed by men. You absorb the tone, humor, values, and emotional patterns of those closest to you, sometimes without realizing it. If your group is negative, your perspective sharpens in the wrong ways. If they're aimless, your momentum fades. If they're disrespectful, it becomes normalized, even if you don't act on it intentionally. Over time, your circle subtly reshapes your default behavior, and women sense it instinctively, long before you do. Picture this scenario. A man has his life together, career on track, energy grounded, purpose clear, but his closest friends are loud, reckless, and chronically irresponsible. He brings a woman into that space, assuming she'll notice the difference, but she doesn't. What she sees is alignment. What she hears is influence. What she feels is risk. She quietly steps away, not because of who he is, but because of the people he chooses to stand beside. Your value isn't measured in isolation. It's measured by the environment you cultivate and the standards you allow around you. When you address these 5 factors, your image, your attitude, the ecosystems you engage with, your relationship to commitment, and the influence of your inner circle, you begin to remove the invisible barriers keeping good women at a distance. You shift from being overlooked to being noticed. You move from attracting temporary chemistry to creating long-term alignment. You show up not as a performance or a version designed to impress, but as a man who is grounded, intentional, and fully capable of partnership. Ultimately, attracting a high-quality woman isn't about luck, grand gestures, or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about honesty, self-awareness, and intentional living. It's about refining your energy, curating your environment, understanding your fears, and consciously choosing the influences that shape you. When you do this, women stop merely noticing you. They start to invest their attention, their respect, and their presence. The man who embraces these truths no longer chases approval. He simply stands in his reality, and the right woman recognizes it immediately. But here's the part most men resist. Your friends don't just reflect you, they amplify you. They highlight the traits you may be ignoring, underestimating, or hiding from yourself. They are the mirror a woman instinctively uses to understand the unspoken parts of who you are, and that mirror doesn't lie. Here's the truth few men ever consider. If you run with people who have nothing to lose, you become a man she can't trust with her heart. Not because you lack value, but because your environment dilutes it. A good woman won't gamble her emotional security on someone whose circle increases her risk. She sees patterns, energy, and influence long before words ever come into play. So ask yourself, does your circle make you calmer or more reactive, stronger or weaker, more disciplined or distracted? The men you choose to spend time with are not just companions. They are the blueprint of your future. If you want a woman who carries herself with intention, the people you surround yourself with must reflect the life you want to build, not the past you're trying to escape. A man's difficulty in finding a quality woman rarely comes down to luck. It comes down to 5 invisible forces shaping how she experiences him: the image he projects, the attitude he carries, the environments he chooses, the fears he hides, and the circle he belongs to. Each factor tells a story before a word is spoken. Each one determines whether a woman feels trust, attraction, or hesitation. And the remarkable part is that all of it is within his control if he's willing to see himself honestly. A good woman isn't rare. A man prepared to meet her standards is. When you refine your image, you become intentional. When you discipline your attitude, you become steady. When you choose environments that reflect your values, you meet women who mirror the same energy. When you confront your fears, you create space for genuine connection. And when you elevate your circle, you elevate your future. None of these changes require perfection. They require responsibility, the kind that tells a woman she can build something real with you. If any of this resonates, don't get defensive. Get determined. The man you want to become already exists inside you. He's just buried beneath habits, wounds, and patterns that no longer serve you. Start removing them one by one. Make choices that reflect the life you say you want. Lead yourself with clarity, consistency, and purpose. The moment you do, the right woman won't simply appear, she will recognize you. When you rise, she rises to meet you.